Yeah, quickly, let's just take a look at this. This on the news. Obama unveils $1 million brain research project. I was just watching it on Fox News. You know, Fox Kabbalistic TV. And they said the reason he wants to do that is so it will help build a stronger middle class. You mean a middle class of drones? You mean a bunch of people with like a thingy in their head, maybe? You think that's what that's all about? $100 million to figure out how the brain works. Well, you might want to start experimenting on the people that think that you're doing a good job. That's a good place to start. Next, you're going to want to move over to Eric because he thinks that he's good looking. And then you're going to have to put a chip in his head. When you get done with all of them, we can move on to everybody else. $100 million. Technically, the story is $100 million to find a cure for epilepsy. Like this fuck is concerned about epilepsy. They're concerned with control. Okay? It's bullshit. See, part of your DNA is a connection to the Creator. And that part of the Creator in your DNA is what gives you the ability to conceive of the idea that there is a Creator. In other words, well, take my parents for instance, or the woodpecker I have. They love me, but they're not capable of believing in a Creator. They can't. They're not wired that way. So when you talk about pillars, you know, some people say, well, the third pillar is the missing strand of DNA. Well, let's say that theory is correct. Well, then we need to get rid of more of that third pillar, because whatever stub is left is the part that gives you the ability to imagine and create in communion with the Creator. If we were to take that out, mankind would never be able to seek the Creator in thought and in spirit. See, if you ever saw the movie The Island of Dr. Moreau, it's just a reversal of that. See, the Island of Dr. Moreau, they were taking animals and they were making them into men. But what they're doing now is they're taking men and they're making us into animals. That's what they're doing. At some point, the character in the movie and the human being are exactly the same. When you talk about golems, and if you sit down and you research it, instead of opening a book and pointing to it with your finger and playing some kooky fucking bullshit music, you'll find out that the story of Frankenstein really was a story about a quasi the Jewish creating the rest of us, and the creature us turning around and destroying the Creator, because that's what Frankenstein did to his Creator. That story is about a golem. That story is about us as humanity turning on the Creator, which, as I've shown you, the Jews believe themselves to be the Elohim, which are tied to Saturn, which the Phoenician word for Saturn is Israel, and therefore Saturn being synonymous with Satan makes them the children of the devil. Except they leave all that other stuff out. It's just that people say, oh, well, you're the children of the devil, but they never know why they say that. That's why. Personally, I don't think they're any closer to whatever the Creator is than we are. They may be closer to a Creator, but, you know, we can all create something in our mind and say, I'm closer to it than you are. But that's neither here nor there. And I just want to point this out. You know, I know that the Saturn thing cannot be the end-all, be-all of all of this. But I'll tell you what, it's the end-all of be-all of everything that you know in the third dimension. Because it's on your money, it's on your medicine, it's stamped on your food, it's sewn into your clothing fabric, it's written into your religions. So, yes, the statement, these guys, their ego, they can't let the Saturn thing go. I can't let it go for the simple fact that it's the mainstay of our reality. Whether you like that or not, or whether it rubs you raw because you can't find some way to get around it and find something more powerful than it. Okay? Give you a little clue, buddy. Okay? The reason that a snowflake is octagon shaped is because of the North Pole of Saturn. Because the energy field that comes off of that fucking thing is so powerful that it pervades this dimension. That's why it's the 9th dimension and we're the 3rd. And that nanogon, that 9-sided 9th dimensional thing, rules all the lower ones below. So we're just a residue of it. But of course you knew that already because you're really smart. And you had time to look that up in between leaving messages, acting like people's friends and leaving them on other people's pages, primarily about anybody that studies this stuff. Because it can only come down to one thing with you, you lazy, loathsome, snaggle-toothed vultures, hideous crones, loathsome drabs. You're jealous. You're fucking jealous. You're jealous. Me, a stupid tree guy on workman's compensation, sat down and figured out on my own. I didn't discover it. It was here from the beginning. I figured it out and put it in a way that people can understand it. When you were still running around looking for fucking ETs with one of the ones, he's seen 500 of them, by the way. Isn't that what it is? 500 UFOs? Oh, and Jesus is Jesus is Michael, right? If Jesus is Michael, why didn't he just call himself Mike? It would be a lot easier than in all this other crap. And when they were going to nail him to the cross, why didn't he just fly away? See, your story's bullshit. I don't know nothing about this Urantia thing, so I can't really comment on it. I really don't know much about any of that. I just know that, you know, as much as and I have friends that have a lot of faith in the King James Bible, and I don't fault them for that. Me, personally, the story of Jesus is a 369. Okay? He was crucified on the 9th hour. That's 3 in the afternoon. On the 6th hour, the temple veil was torn. And the 3rd hour, they nailed him up. It's a 369 story. The same story that I found from 1911 when a hotel caught fire. The same story that I'm seeing in the news. Means it's all emanating from the same point. It's emanating from the same point, and somebody's writing a story. Doesn't change my mind about who Jesus Christ was. I know I got a guy on here that I talk to, and we talk on the phone, and he's got his own idea about what Jesus is, and that's fine. You know, and if everybody wants to worship Saturn, that's great. Because if that's what the reality here is, and that's what people want to do, then hey, I don't have a problem with it. The thing I do have a problem with is the fact that people are tricked into doing it without their knowledge. That they've been led, for whatever reason, into believing a story that's not telling you the story. If people want to worship Saturn, hey, I ain't got a problem with it. That's what you do. That's what you do. I don't go around knocking Hindus on the head because they're over there worshiping some cow with 15 arms and plays poker on Saturday nights with his brother's sister on his mother's side, second cousin removed. It doesn't matter to me what people are worshiping. It's when you take that and you create an institution or an enterprise called the church, and then you draw money from them, and then you subjugate them to feeling bad and telling them that they're born evil when they're just born. When you're born into time, that means you're sinful. No, you're born into sin. You're born into time. And the wages for that, in other words, the end result will be, when you go get a job, the boss says, yeah, you're going to, you know, I need you to do this. The end result will be a paycheck. Here's what you get paid. The wages of sin is death. The wages of living in time is falling apart, dying every day. When people say, oh, I'm dying every day to the cross. Yeah, you are. X, Saturn, time. You're breaking down. For fuck's sake, I'm 51. Believe me, I remember when I was 15. It was a lot more fun. So that's the bottom line. And that was knock on wood, by the way. It was a lot more fun back in the day. But the bottom line is, I can see the world for what it is. People, for whatever reason, are being tricked into worshiping one thing when it really should be another. So, technically, the people that say that, you know, that there's more to the Saturn thing, well, of course there is. Saturn just has to do with us right here, right now. But the men that write your laws and control your food intake and control your monetary intake and spending, those men believe in all of this stuff. And that's the scary part. Because Saturn is the god of contracts, money, goods, services, farming. And so these men that speak for it make the laws that can affect you on a third dimensional level physically in a way that can be very, very painful. Okay? So it is the end-all, be-all here. And it has nothing to do with ego. All I've done for the last 3 years is try to show you guys it's a reoccurring theme over and over and over and over and over. Okay? And it's the same. There's no way to get around it. You will not beat the Illuminati. I'm sorry. You ain't beating shit. You want to beat something up, go beat up your little brother. And when you get done with that, go clean your bedroom. All right? And like I said, Xeon Celestial Champion, I still got a backyard full of dog turds, snow melted. So if you want to champion something, get on there. There's some plastic bags under the sink. That's my point. You have no control here. Don't ever think that you're going to have control over this realm or this dimension. Never. Not on your life, and I mean that most sincerely. You have a relationship with the Creator. This thing with Obama is to weed that out of the next generation or whoever so that they will never, ever, ever think about a Creator outside of the one that they see. Just like the birds, my birds that look at me to feed them, that's what they want with this type of shit right here.